All right. Welcome back everyone dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Kasama po natin today ang my former professor in public administration that I hope also like my other former professors is not too ashamed of having me once upon a time as a student. No, I'm just kidding. And a good
Oy,
friend
hindi
of ours.
naman. Hindi naman. You're doing very well. Okay. Big time ka
Daming
na, big
bashers
time.
eh. Daming bashers.
Oo.
And of course, Professor Ranjit Rai. Thank you so much, Ranjit, for joining us. Fantastic timing, by the way. Very, very good timing.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me again, Richard. Very proud of you as my student. And don't worry, you're doing very well. You're earning more than your batchmates, I'm told.
Ayan na naman tayo. Mababash
Superstar ka na daw, pati sweldo. Totoo ba yun?
Ayan naman tayo. Baka mga ano tayo. Tanggalin ko yung mga ano ko.
Oo nga, eh. Ang
Gagawa ng
forma mo
issue
naman.
ulit yan
Dati
eh.
pa sando-sando ka lang sa klase. Ngayon, social ka na. Alam mo yun?
Alam mo
Everywhere.
bro.
By the way, you're everywhere, huh? You're in many
Eh,
shows. And
Yeah,
I'm proud of
nadagdag pa.
you. You're articulate and you're intelligent and you're spreading your wisdom all over social media, and we need that. We need a lot of good analysts to come out, and you're one of them. So we're all very proud of you. Graduate of our Department of Political Science program. Yeah, tama, di ba?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and
of course. Thank you so
hopefully,
much. Yeah,
yeah.
and we're colleagues. Andun lang ako sa Asian Center sa kabila.
Yeah,
So
I know.
we're all in
But
the
which
same
but my
world.
dad was a dean there, huh?
Yes, I know. Your
For a
dad
long
was.
time, the South Asia program which he started, yeah. And you're in a very good program also. Area studies is in vogue, and hopefully you'll continue to teach in the Asian Center.
Salamat, Professor Wright. There's so much to discuss today. Obviously, punta tayo sa issue ng, trend lines in terms of support. Because of all the
Yeah,
survey agencies, although I was told by our good friend Dindo on my show, I want to have you also hopefully on my show soon, yung View from Manila's TV51 News. He was telling us na meron yata silang survey din where they look at yung alignments. Because so
yeah,
far, Okta, you guys are the only one who have a survey with clear alignments. So you cannot use yung voting ng 2022 satisfaction ratings. I don't think those are correct proxies. I think your survey is the most accurate so far. So Professor Wright, later on pag-usapan natin because ang basa natin kagabi, we're discussing it and I saw you kanina sa news, including sa amin sa TV51 News, the idea that the momentum has stalled. And for me, momentum is everything in politics. So we'll discuss that. Even if the changes are very granular and it's just a few percentage
yeah,
points within the statistical margin of error. But before we go there, pag-usapan natin ulit ang Senate and also the party list because very comprehensive yung inyong mga surveys, Professor Rai. Of course, on the party list, pag-usapan din natin yung statistical challenges in predicting party list because this is the most notoriously difficult one to predict for
yeah. It
inherent
is.
reason because of the threshold issue, distributional and proportionate voting
Yeah,
issue. So magsimula muna tayo sa pinakamadali, quote unquote. Magsimula muna tayo, Professor Rice, sa Senate kung saan, of course, mga kapatid natin sila, Idol, Rafi Tulfo, Ben Tulfo, Erwin Tulfo, all the Tulfo brothers. Well, Rafi's already there, but his brothers are doing very well. But for me, I think the one I really want to focus on is so obviously the admin slates are doing very well. But what's also interesting to me is Aimee is also doing very well because hindi ko alam
yeah,
admin talaga siya. Sabi nga ni Sir Ronald, hindi ko alam saan pupulutin sa Aimee. One day dito, one day dyan.
yeah.
She's
But,
doing
but,
well.
but I mean, she's now clarifying, huh? She's now clarifying more. She's joining the rallies. And I think it's helping her, honestly. Playing both
Exactly.
sides won't help her at all. I think, honestly. Oh, this is the party list. This is the party list.
This is the
Use the
party
other
list.
one.
So this is the
Yeah.
Senate. Okay, fantastic. Uh,
Okay.
okay,
The
fantastic.
second is the
So
other. We can start with this. This is the
yeah, let's
party
go.
list.
So we
Yeah.
have
Why don't we start with this? Okay. Yeah.
no, let's
So
start with it. Oh my God. So Ben and Erwin are basically fighting for number one. This is a
yeah,
consolidation of what we have been saying for 2 years, right? That
yeah.
down to them. But for me, the interesting one is Bongo is doing very well in all surveys. I see SWS,
Okay.
Pulse Asia.
Richard, you're showing the party list. You're showing the parties.
Ah,
Just other no. Can you share the Senate one?
so it looks like on your side is different. Kasi on my side, the Senate is out. Baka ano lang,
Lag.
there's a lag lang siguro. Pero we're discussing
Okay.
the Senate party list. Senate muna.
Okay. Good. Good.
Professor Rat. Don't worry about it. On my side, lalabas yan. So sa recording, lalabas yung Senate. Can we talk about the
Yeah.
Senate
Good.
first of all? So admin doing well, but even some of the pro Duterte side doing very well, like Bongo and some would say even Aimee. But also the story I want to talk about is Kiko and Bam not doing so bad. In fairness, they're quite competitive. So can we go one by one? First of all, Tulfo,
Okay.
the admins. Why are they doing so
Okay,
well?
so when we look at the Tulfo brothers, they actually the numbers are going down. Okay, so Erwin Tulfo, I think, is -4 here. Ben Tulfo -6, meaning they lost points, but they're still what at 70 and 60. So these are very high. I don't know if that's actually going to happen when on election day, but these are very high numbers. No, Bongo is still up at 58, technically ranked number 2. In this particular survey conducted January 25 to 31, with 1,200 respondents, he's up plus 6 percentage points. So he's plus 6 in this particular. He went up. So he
Right.
improved for Tito Soto at 52% is -9 in this particular -9 in his
Right.
this particular survey. He went down. Bong Revilla retained his position. I think the big story here is Mr. Willie Revillame at 48%.
Purong TV5
Richard
lang na.
gained 20 points. Didn't know,
Right.
Richard, you have to get this. He gained 20 points in
I
one
know,
quarter.
I know. Incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's very high. I mean, we have not seen that kind of gain in any
Who is
of
the
the
biggest
surveys.
winner? So Willie Revillame is the biggest winner. Bigyan ng jacket
And the
tip.
biggest disruptor also here because he pushed everyone down.
Yes,
His
yes.
position is so strategic. No, he's pushed everyone down, and those we thought would come into the top 12 by now have been pushed down a bit because his numbers surged. He's going to be the big disruptor. He's going to be the Robin Padilla of this
Ah,
particular
okay.
view, huh? Then of
Yep.
course they're the candidates who have more or less very stable numbers, hardly changing. That's Ping Lacson, Pia Cayetano,
Yep.
Manny Pacquiao, who gained, by the way, 7 percentage points here. And then Amy Marcos, who, by the way,
Ano?
gained just around 4%, plus 4%. And not very nominal, but when you look at the last 2 quarters, she's gained double digits.
Yes,
She
overtime.
used to
Steady,
be
steady.
out of the top 12. She used to be out of the top 12. Now she's back in. Not not the same rank that she had maybe 3 or 4 quarters ago, where she was number 4, but definitely improved from the last 2 quarters. Yeah, so she's the big improvement here. Lito Lapid, very steady numbers, and then there's Abalos, Tolentino, Abi Binay, Camille Villar, who by the way gained plus 7 percentage points, and Bato de la Rosa, who caps our top 12
Within the range.
potential, yeah.
Within
That
the
is,
range.
yeah, within the range, no? But definitely, when you look at the long view of Senator De La Rosa's numbers, he used to be number 5, number
Yeah.
6. Now it's really gone down. But from quarter to quarter, he's improving. He's slowly coming back into the top 12, no? Kiko Pangilinan did very well, and Bam Aquino also did very well. They had gains in the last quarter. They're slowly, and remember, this is before the official campaign.
Yun nga, exactly.
The
Can you remind again, Professor Rancho, may we remind again what were the dates where this was conducted? Anong
Okay, this was conducted January 25 to
okay,
31.
just
Well
before the
before,
start.
yeah,
Yep.
the campaign. And so we expect that all of these numbers will change. These rankings will change. That's the campaign ensues, which is already, ongoing.
Right.
Uh, those at the periphery might just get in, no? Because they have a 28% former Senator Pangilinan is very, very competitive. So these are the numbers. Awareness is there, you can see. So there's still a
Yeah.
lot of room for
Right.
people like Camille Villar, Abi
Wow.
Binay. We believe will be, getting higher ranks, no, as we move forward. Yeah.
And then, of course, some of the candidates have dropped out since then. Doc Willie Ong, I think, is now focused
Yes. Yes.
recovering. Our
Yeah.
prayers and love with him and his family and loved ones. And then, of course,
Yes.
Digong said, I don't know if Digong was referring to the 15 sitting senators or senatorial candidates. Hindi ko alam sinong papatayin because we're gonna have General Toro on this show soon, by the way. So I want General Toro to explain ano yung kaso niya. Ay, digong. But assuming 15 yung magda-drop out, si Chavit Singson ba kasama pa dito? Yung ano namin, mga
Wala na, wala
client
na.
namin.
Wala na. We took him out first.
Ay,
Wilbert Lee and Willie Ong were the latest candidates to bow out. But they bowed out even during our, I mean, after we took the survey. So you'll see, wala na sila dyan.
right.
Yeah,
So,
wala na. Yeah.
so Kiboloy has 5%. That's
Yeah,
not
but look at his awareness, ha? His awareness is 81. So that means,
so wala nang
wala,
room for improvement
wala.
yan. Oh. Wala
Kung
na.
meron man, konting-konti na lang. Pero
Correct.
mukhang it's, ayun, he's not as preferred as the others. So.
Right. Wow, Marcoleta.
Marcoleta is at 11. Colonel Busito of One Rider is at
Right.
12%.
And sobrang baba pa yung awareness niya. So he has so much room for improvement, right? Jimmy
Yeah.
Bond has a very low awareness. I would have, siguro, dahil siguro matanda na yung mga songs niya, no? Hindi alam ng mga Gen Z. Naman namin,
Possibly.
alam namin Jimmy Bondok eh, yung one hit wonder, di ba?
Possibly.
So
Yeah,
he
but
has a lot of room for
look at our
improvement.
progressive candidates from the left. No,
Right.
there's still a lot of room for improvement. And
Yes. Kasi ang
as
baba ng
the
awareness pa eh.
yeah,
Oh,
people just don't know. Yeah.
right. And
But
who knows?
Franz
Maraming
Castro has improved. Alam mo yun. Yeah.
yes.
So yun yung
Ang
nakikita
baba ng
namin.
awareness niya, only 19. So again, huge room
Yeah.
for improvement. Obviously,
Yeah.
we'll have Heidi Mendoza tomorrow also to explain. She's doing not bad in some of the other surveys I've seen, internal survey sentiment. Parang top 25 siya dun sa iba or top
Yep.
24 or 5. But the numbers are not too different from this one. So in fairness, are you surprised? Again, kasi very hard to predict also in Senate race. Kasi historically, paras kaibigan ko. But it looks like Pulse Asia sometimes slightly gets it more accurate than established back in the day. But now, of course, Okta is a third alternative. Hindi naman kayo
Yeah.
nagkakalayo masyado, no? Although Kiko made it
Yeah,
to
I
12
think
in
most of
SWS.
the top five, I mean maybe until the top what 7, 8, halos pareho lang naman. It's
Alright.
at the bottom half
Yeah.
where there's a difference, and yeah, but these things will still change. And when you look at the track record, when you look at Okta's track record in the last national election, which is in 2022, 100%. We
Which was your
predicted,
first. That was,
yeah, our first. This is
again,
only
my
our
first,
second.
first. Yeah, again,
Yeah, this is
first
only our second. So, yun
beginners.
nga.
Beginners
So,
luck daw. Eh.
100%, no mistake. Alam mo yun, pag sa exam, sabi nga ni Professor, 100%. So,
Yeah.
perfect. So, we're hoping to have the same kind of performance this time out. These are our second national elections. And so I guess that's how you gauge the performance of a survey company when you compare it with what actually happened during the
Right.
day of voting, the outcome of the elections. And that's where I think Okta has a very perfect record there. President, Vice President, our last survey was April 2022, and when come after the election day and voting and canvassing, we got we predicted 58.1 for BBM. The actual vote was 58.7.
Right.
So we did very well there. I think the only thing we weren't able to predict was really Robin Padilla becoming number
Yeah.
one, but only knew that. So nobody knew that he would be number one. It was hard to predict that. But I think up to 15, tama lahat ng amin nakuha sa survey. Tama yung survey. And by the way, it wasn't just Okta, it was other survey companies
Yeah.
also. Survey, the science was actually extolled in the last election. And we hope that it will be continued. It will continue. We will continue to have a good performance now. No?
Professor, balikan natin itong when will be your last survey for the Senate? It will be 2 weeks, 1 week before the elections.
Normally, this time out we're having more surveys. We'll have two more surveys until election day. The
Right.
COMELEC just came out with a very important resolution for survey companies. We have to pre-register now.
Yeah.
New development from a new resolution from the COMELEC. We're still studying it. Of course, we have no choice but to comply. It's a very strict set of guidelines,
Right.
and hopefully it will clarify to the public how we do our surveys, who who are subscribers, the method, and all of that. And we're all for that. Now we're all for being accountable and transparent about how we do things. And then we're hoping, of course, that the way we do things, our method, will produce the same kind of performance as we did in 2022, which was 100%, that we were
Right.
able to basically predict the outcome of the elections.
And my problem with last elections was none of the authoritative, no offense to some of other friends, agencies conducted exit polls sa pagkaintindi ko. Kasi exit polls are very important, right? It gives you an idea about how people voted on the actual day of election, right?
We have
Magkakaroon
no
tayo ng exit
experience,
poll.
but it's
Hmm.
expensive. First
Right.
of all, it's very expensive. And number two, the non-response is also kind of high.
Yeah.
So, the experience, I think SWS tried to do it. And from what I gather,
Mahirap, oo.
it's very expensive. It was cumbersome to do. But at some point, no, as we digitize,
Yeah.
we use telephone surveys more efficiently and effectively, we'll be able to do these exit polls more, uh, you know, effectively and
And
with
and
greater.
and uh, and efficiently. But Professor,
Yeah.
I want to go back to this because for me, the Gen Z vote is a much bigger factor since
Mm.
2019, and of course, I would say even TikTok is a bigger factor. Kaya I'm very interested in exit polls nowadays kasi parang maybe things have been changing in ways na hindi pa rin natin masyado na detect, 'di ba? Because Gen Z is now a factor that was not so much back in 2016, for instance, or even not fully at 2019. Kaya I'm hoping we'll have a number of credible, authoritative exit polls para pwede tayo mag-analyze ng masinsinan pagkatapos ng elections because we want to be data-driven, evidence-based. Now, let's go back to the issue of Kiko and BAM because Kiko is doing not so bad in SWS, in Pulse Asia, they're almost within the range, and yours is not too different. So what is the challenge for them? So they're almost at 100% awareness. So it means that at least hindi sila kinalimutan ng tao, right? Especially in the case of
Mhm.
Bam Aquino, who has not been running since 2019 and was more in the campaign mode in favor of Lenny Robredo. How do you think they can improve their numbers? Because inevitably this brings us to I'm already skipping the party list one, no?
Mm.
Because inevitably it brings us to the other big question, right? If you are Kiko or Bam, and let me go to the other one, balikan natin ulit. Kiko and Bam, and then the alignment is along the lines, I mean, so far kayo lang. Alignments are along, sorry, this,
Yeah,
are
yeah.
now lumalabas? Okay.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
those lines. Um, so around just 6, 7, 8% lang yung traditional opposition. 15 to 80, 20% ang DDS or Pro Duterte, and then close to 40%. But you still have a huge plurality who are undecided, right? So if you are
Yeah.
Nico and you're Bam, who should you try to target most? Alam ko naman yung style naman dyan is a scratch here and scratch there eh. But
Yeah,
this is a very
kurot-kurot they call
polarized
it, di ba?
election.
Yeah, yeah, kurot-kurot, di ba? You get a
Kurot-kurot, yeah.
piece.
But
Yeah, oh,
kurot-kurot
yeah.
works in certain
Yeah, but there's
concentrated
still a lot
areas.
of independents, Richard. Look
Yeah,
at the
exactly. Yeah,
independents and look at the undecided. Put that together, it's nearly 40%.
exactly.
There's still a lot of votes to scavenge or to use or to basically campaign for, di ba? Maraming ano. Yeah, campaign for is a better word, no? Ang dami, and it's still a long time politically. I mean, this campaign is there's still a lot to go, and my sense is messaging is important. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Right.
I've heard some complaints about, in particular, Kiko's ads and all of that. I think they should go back to the radix, go back to the roots. What makes them distinct? This is
Right.
why the president was powerful at the start of the campaign. We talked about this a few months back, di ba? How do you now
Yeah.
differentiate? And differentiate along issue areas, di ba? And that's important because voters also are looking for what makes you different. But the president has clarified their team is different. They're going to be pro-human. They're the team of the pro-human rights. They're
Yeah.
the pro-democracy, pro-West Philippine Sea. Yeah, di ba? They're against what you call this? Our own kababayans being exploited,
Yeah.
against drugs, and against a particular form of enforcement where we balance rights with enforcement. They're the tokhang. So, the president differentiated their group. I don't know individually if they're buying into that, no? Kasi that's
Right.
a very powerful message. The same has to be done for the Liberal Party candidate for Bam Aquino? What do they stand for? What do the Filipinos? They have already an established brand,
Yeah.
and that brand has to do with their their background, their history as part of the Liberal Party, that struggle.
Professor, I want
You
to
know,
focus on that
reminder.
because yeah, I want to focus. That's a very good point because I was in New Delhi the other month, and for the past year, I've been focusing on the case of Rahul Gandhi. It's a
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah,
case of rebranding because I remember 5, 10 years ago when I would talk to my friends in India, they would make fun of Rahul Gandhi. Parang mas
yeah.
konyo pa yan sa akin. Parang ganun. Parang he's
Oh,
out of touch, half Italian,
yeah,
playboy, Ferrari, nakatambay daw doon sa cafe shop in front of Italian embassy. So
yeah.
against a Modi and BJP machine. Parang he really out of
Irap,
touch.
populist, no, yeah.
And then suddenly what he did over the past year or so was to do listening tour, nag-motorbike tour siya, parang motorbike diary style, di ba?
Yeah,
And he grew beard and he tried to, even yung accent niya, iniba niya, di ba? Parang less neutral na yung accent niya. So he really tried to make himself relatable, pero more listening tour and reminded people, lalo yung mga nasa bukid, nasa, malayo sa
yes,
kabiyasan na area, sabi niya, oh, ito si Modi, itong pangako niya over this. Ano ba nangyari sa buhay niya? And then he nicely reminded them, yes, hindi kami perfect, nagkakulang kami, I understand, protest vote yan against Congress Party, but sana hindi na nakalimutan yung sakripisyo ng pamilya ko, si Indira Gandhi, si Nehru, yung
yeah,
tatay ko,
yeah.
ganyan. And then it worked. It worked. Now, he's the second biggest party and he's very young. He's still in his 50s. He could be the next prime minister all of a sudden, right?
Yeah,
So
there
I
could
don't want
be
to go
a
into
yeah,
the details of that.
there could be a chance for them to come back to power again. Yeah. And Congress is doing well in certain areas in India. So, there's
Southern
always
India
that.
especially, yeah.
But what's the argument for BAM or Kiko, di ba?
Mm.
And the argument inevitably would be to look at how they can improve the situation we have today, no? And I think Kiko also hit it right, focusing on agriculture, but then he has to tie it up to hunger and poverty and all of that because the farming lobby here is not as big,
As
as it
India
is
or
in the
other
south.
places, yeah.
So he has to capture, and it's right to bring Lenny in. It's right to
Very
bring an
matching.
identity. Yeah. Because there are lots of independents who are just waiting for new leadership to emerge, no? And the opposition that's emerging, no, the Duterte side, they're not all of them are as impressive, no, as Kiko and Bam. So, again, it's awareness building. It's looking at a brand, not as an individual, as individuals, as part of a movement that has a history or and a performance that's already there. No, they're pro human rights, they're pro democratization, they're part of that whole movement that reinstalled democracy in our country. It's a proud tradition, and people have to be reminded of that, and that they ostensibly have stood by that message, by that brand. Their politics is about that. In actuality, when you look at Bam Aquino, free tertiary education, something he championed, but it never really, I don't registered, no.
Oh,
It's
hindi na
right to remind
markahan masyado,
people.
no? Hindi siya nag-sink
Oh,
in. Hmm.
yeah, they have to take themselves out of that narrative that was started by. This is just my opinion, of course. Narrative that
Yeah,
was
this is the political scientist in you naman, Professor Rai, because that's the good
yeah,
thing with having
entrenched
you.
by
Right, yeah.
made entrenched by the Duterte narrative against the Dilaw. Hindi na dapat ganun yung Dilaw stands for progressive politics. Dilaw stands for, di ba? A rich tradition, okay, of
Like
progressive politics in
dictatorship.
the
Yeah,
country with
anti-dictatorship, yeah.
Tory. That has to be reminded. I mean, kaya nga yung FPG party list, no? One of the
We'll discuss that shortly,
you know,
yeah. The party list, yeah, yeah.
again, the focus is on FPJ, di ba? The social bandit in the movies, no? The pro-poor champion. I don't, where's the image? I mean, it can't be just Sharon and Kiko. We have to go back to the roots. Ano ba, what makes them distinct? They're not just individuals, they're part of a kilosan, a movement that's characterized by the following things. And that's why it's important to bring Lenny in.
You
And
think
establish,
there could be
make
a
them
Lenny bump?
yellow.
Do you think there could be
Come
a Lenny
again?
bump? There could be a Lenny bump in terms of like in certain regions, obviously in Bicol region, among other region, there could
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
numbers.
definitely.
Visayas also, right? Yeah.
Len is still a relevant politician. In our own surveys, internal surveys on who best to take over after Bongbong Marcos, after the PBBM, no? While it's not so big, Lenny still what in the top five options of everything Filipinos, no? Of to a person who's likely to who should take over, no? At something like 8-10%. It's not big, but it's
It can
not
improve.
also
Yeah.
very bad. That
Yeah.
yeah, it can improve, di ba? She has a higher, in our own surveys, a higher number than Risa. Can you imagine? She's out of politics. She's not there, but she's always seen as an alternative.
So
So
that means
this
if
is
Riza
something
doesn't run,
to be.
Riza's number will go to Lenny, right? And it's still possible that Sarah might not run, that Rafi might not run. I mean, none of those things are sure. About the two front runner are Rafi and Sarah. We have been discussing that. But it's also possible
Mm.
neither of them will run. So the field could be very open for 2028. Kaya sinasabi ko itong 2025, ang mahalaga for opposition is even if it's difficult to get in because there's so many big names. There's a Willie Revillame, there's
Yes.
there's Lito Lapid, there's Bong Revilla, aside from all the admin and well-moneyed people there. But if they do good enough, they can set the tone for 2028, where Lenny looks very good, and maybe Risa could settle for
I
VP if
agree
ever
with you
not
100%.
presidential. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. 2028 cannot be an argument if they can't win one candidate in 2025. And I think Kiko and Bam have a good opportunity, maybe more so for Kiko at 28%. This is just before the campaign. And, if the messaging is not just populist, but also harking back to the rich tradition of the Liberal Party, of what it means to be yellow, maybe no more pink, but yeah, what's yellow, di ba? What does it actually mean, di ba? And
Baka purple,
you can
Sir
build on
Ryan.
that.
Baka pwede purple na rin. It's like, maybe it's a more
Yeah,
appealing color nowadays.
maybe it's maybe a more appealing color. But the thing is, it has to stand for something. Yung I mean, pero kung hindi mananalo ang isa sa kanila, parang ang hirap mag-argue for that movement in 2028 eh. So in the whole group has to help each other lift at least one of these candidates up. And it's possible that both can make it, no? But right now it seems clear in the last two surveys, fourth quarter and in January, that Kiko's numbers are really improving.
Competitive talaga siya.
In the fourth quarter of 2024, he was already in the top 12 in our own. But Willie Revilla comes in, big disrupt, no? Big disrupt and pushed everyone down, no? Uh, and then when you look at if you can flash that, no? When you look at the last five, if you can flash that, no? I mean, the difference is really slight. And then looking at the margin of error, I mean, they just look at the last, from Abalos down. Hindi ba? Hindi naman ganun kalayo yung yung mga numbers eh. And it's not a chasm as far as Kiko is concerned. And he hasn't really spent on ads. Still there's so much work that hasn't been done yet as far as his campaign is concerned. So yeah, I think there's a very strong potential for him to get into the winning circle, no? I can't hear you, Richard.
We had
Yeah.
Alan Herman on this show to discuss the branding and all of that, and also on my TV show. My point is like, okay, gets ko naman na it's all gut issues and all, but how do you stand out? I mean, this was again the issue in India, right? Congress Party says libreng this, BJP said libreng this. So how do you
Yeah.
stand out, right? Paano ka mamarkan? Kalaban mo, mga malalaking pamilya, yung iba, billionaires. So when they say, I will give you things, they sound credible, right? I mean, from a
Yeah.
very simplistic point of view. So what do you think should be the standout thing? So Kiko clearly is working on yung agricultural background niya, USEC siya
Yeah.
parang ni Pinoy, yung expertise niya in agriculture. I think Bam is trying to also do more of a Gen Z thing, look young
Yeah.
and
He's the
play
education
games.
czar, di ba? The king.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that 2 or 3 million students got free tertiary education. It's largely because of
yes.
Bam Aquino. I mean, and that has to be, people have to be reminded of that. And in Kiko's case, he was the food czar, no? But I think Kiko and Bam have to include in their campaign the fact that they don't represent just themselves. They represent
Luzon.
a movement, no? That has, a history, has had so much contribution to Philippine democracy. their politics is progressive. So this is something that may again ignite that movement that in fact supported Lenny in 2022. That movement is sleeping. Alam mo yun, there's no we need to reignite
Follow
that
through. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean that in my view is where he should go. I don't think the populist route might work for both of them because I think
There's
we
always
need.
someone better.
Yeah, yeah, but with the, of course, definitely making good ads, good jingles, whatever, attractive, no, awareness building. But I think what they both need to emphasize is that they are one of the most, no, um, how should I say this, experienced people running. I mean, they can
Meritocratic.
focus on that, kasi they've already been the Senate. They are capable, qualified, more qualified, and I think that's what they need to emphasize. They're not gonna be OJT. They're gonna be, alam mo yun, hitting the ground, running when they becomes, and they have to emphasize that not only do they come represent progressive politics, a very progressive history of a social movement that really is pro people, pro democracy, but that they are themselves some of the most competent people running for the Senate. And
How can
those
we make competence cool, di ba? Especially when you have
yeah,
40.
yeah. How do we, that's a question. How do you make, and then, yeah, you show this slide, and dami pa, Richard.
Yan, dami pang pwedeng kalkalin.
There's 26% independent. Alam mo yon, they don't want to be classified as pro Marcos. They certainly don't want to be classified as pro Duterte. And you put that together with those who are ambivalent, that's 12%. That's a huge number of free votes waiting to be impressed, waiting to be reminded that they need to vote for progressive candidates in this particular midterm elections.
Oh, and last before we go to the party list one, gusto kong balikan itong ulit ang issue ng what do you think are the factors that stalled the downward trajectory of the pro Duterte camp? Because the pro Duterte camp was easily a quarter, close to a third, 4 or 5 quarters ago. Then it went down to only 15% last October. My sense is baka November it was worse pa with all of the members piatos. But now there is a slight upward trajectory. It's not the upward one which got my attention. It's the fact that the momentum stalled in terms of yung
Yeah.
spaghetti pababa. Is it the whole GAA issue? Is it the whole worst budget ever? I don't want to put you on the spot, but one criticism, maybe some of our good friends with good intentions may have inadvertently helped the Dutertes weaponize this GAA issue to distract from their own anomalies and the SAR impeachment issue.
I think it's possible, yeah. But let's look at the numbers. I think first off, this is a survey on political preference.
Right.
Basic question is, I wish we want to emphasize, no, that people do not see themselves or make preferences based on party, platform, or program. They really identify with families, and in this case, we've done this since March 2024, and we've been tracking it as a proxy, no? This midterm elections is a referendum on the administration, and so far the numbers are good. Slight dip, but it's within the margin of error. So technically, what you're seeing now in January 2025 is actually no different from what we saw in the third quarter of 2024. So that's the first statement. That being said, when you look at the granular data, there are actually movements. I think you have the table there. Maybe it will be nice to show that table.
Let me
There's a table there
get out
that
the
shows
full file. Yeah.
the
The
movement.
Word file. 1 second.
Yeah, but yeah, let me continue. That
Please
this
do.
granular data, these nuances, these changes at the granular level indicate that the decline, the trajectory, the trend, no, has reversed as far as the pro Duterte group is concerned. And it happened in a particular period. Remember, our last survey about this was in the third quarter.
Right.
So
I'm
another
bringing
one, you can the next table, yeah. Go up next. Yep. No, that's not the one. Just the one below the page, the next page. Yeah.
Parang nawala yung table. Wait lang. Let me press. This one.
That's it. That's
Perfect.
it. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So there's really hardly any change. It's basically statistical within the margin of error, so it's based statistically the same. But the big story here is when you look at the granular level. When you look at the pro Duterte, two things happen. from August to January. There was a consolidation in Mindanao, meaning they added more,
Yeah.
plus 15 uh, percentage points added to their support in Mindanao. Their balanced Luzon and Visayas and NCR are practically the same, very low, single digits. Okay. But what's big is a plus 19% percentage points increase in Class E. They
Right.
gained 19 percentage points
So
from
that's an
August
inflation
to
issue, I
January.
suppose. So,
So basically, I mean, one could argue that their decline has halted, meaning it's in a position of reversal. We're not going to
yeah.
say that next quarter they're going to actually increase. We don't know that. So we're going to do this
Yeah.
again in March. But it does show that within that period, which is November, December, January, some momentum that the administration had was lost. And again, you have to go back to the context, what happened during that time. I mean, intuitively, you would think that after Quadcom,
Yeah.
the impeachment possibilities, that, the numbers of the Marcos administration would surge, but it did not. It actually went down pa nga. And that probably is attributed to a lot of things. For one thing, when you look at the fourth quarter data on poverty and hunger, self-rated poverty and self-rated hunger, no, it all went up. 50% of families now rate themselves as poor. Something like 16% of all families experience hunger. This is higher than the 11% the previous quarter. That's the fourth quarter, huh? So we reported that in media. So given that context of want, no, of dissatisfaction, plus issues like the budget crisis, the faux pas in the budget, all this uncertainty about the impeachment, the rallies, for and against, I guess it created a momentum for the Pro Duterte preference and may have helped them improve their numbers. It may have helped improve their
Yeah.
numbers in this particular probe. So, this is of course hypothetical. This is just really explaining it from what happened based on context, no? What were happening during that time. The administration lost a lot of momentum in terms of the narrative. They basically lost the narrative. In the last 2 months, they were hammered in the media, and I think they're now just picking up, no, the pieces, starting with the discussion by the speaker for minimum wage increase. Second, this declaration by the administration for a rice crisis and hopefully to abate, no, the increases in rice and maybe hopefully see a decline in rice prices in the market. So it came too late, and maybe we're seeing that, no, the effects of that in this particular survey probe. But this will change. We don't
This
know
is a
what will happen.
snapshot. Yeah, this is just a snapshot. But that's why I said
Yep.
we have to do longitudinal because you're looking at the trend lines and momentum, and
Mm.
those things definitely matter. Now, obviously, the president senses the urgency. His speech in Lawag the other week, right, was
Yeah.
feisty. May nag-joke na, Richard, parang nanood yata sila sa banat nyo ni Ronald Llamas. Kaya ano, para
Yeah.
exactly everything we have been saying on
I,
Farmali,
I
on
would say those were fighting words, huh?
yeah, yeah.
I think that was the feistiest the president I've seen the president in a long time. And really, is that just a campaign start, anyway, a campaign message, or is it the
Yeah.
framework, the narrative for the next 3 years? Richard, di ba? Yan na ba yung narrative for the next 3 years? Ganun na yung banat niya.
Looks like that's the
Yeah.
way. I mean, for me, again, just in defense of myself, because I think some people probably are misconstruing. I'm all for scrutinizing the government. I'm all for
Yeah.
looking at blind items or blank items or whatever. Is there
Yes.
no problem with that? Ang akin lang, it's always good also to put a caveat that when it comes to the Duterte side, their moral ascendancy on questions of good governance is, to put it mildly, suspect, right? So I think it's important for the admin to also raise that issue, but also for progressive opposition so that they make sure na hindi sila sasakyan or ma-weaponize yung kanilang genuine interventions. But of course, Professor Rai, you're not supposed to make battle to that. Leave
Yeah,
it
I
to
know, I
us,
know.
mga pundits, to do that.
I respect your position on that issue.
Now let's go to the
I'll
last
just
part.
forget.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go
Yeah.
to the last part. Baka ano, dadami ang bashers natin lalo. Let's go to the
Mm.
party list one. That's an interesting one I'm sorry, when it comes to the party list because first of all, I want to ask you on party list. Ang hirap i-predict yung party list, di ba? Because there's a proportionate voting, the threshold changes over time.
Mm.
Again, given those inherent statistical complications, why is it still worth for us to look at surveys on party lists?
Well, I think at one level there are party lists nationwide, have a nationwide vote. It's true. There are, no, there are large ones like you would look at, let's say, AXIS, which has a nationwide vote. You look at the left, no, the
Right.
Makabayan bloc. It's important also to see when you look at this. I think there's 15 party lists that will get at least one seat that will qualify for more than the 2% floor, no, which is required by our law on the party list law, and so here we just indicated that in this particular survey of January 2025, these are the top party lists who will get more than one seat. And AXIS consistent. I think the big story here is Duterte Youth, which, by the way, no, you can see the surge, di ba? You can see it's also seen in the party list.
Across the
So there's
board, yeah.
in some sort of momentum has evolved. No, we don't know if this momentum will be uh, continuing in the next quarter or in the next few weeks or months.
But
No,
Professor,
but there's
isn't
a
this a
third.
case of consolidation in face of threat because of the Sara impeachment moving
It's
forward?
possible. It's
Right?
possible.
That you rally the rank and file, right? You rally your constituencies. This is for defense of Sara existential
Yes.
threat. So I won't be surprised the 30 youth may indeed end up doing well if they can sasakyan nila yung ganitong messaging, no?
Yeah. And this is better than what how they are now. No. This is at least two or three seats worth.
Oh,
No.
wow.
And then you look at FPJ Panday. You have to look at the big story is Tingog. No, it went down a little bit. It used to be somewhere I think 5%. It went down a little bit. Tingog. Maybe it got hit also because of
Pero
ano mo yun.
statistical error, I mean, if you're, what was your margin? 2, 3%?
Yeah, but
They're all within.
this is a big thing for the
Yeah,
party
party
list.
list. Yeah.
They're it's very competitive also, and they're looking at getting at least two or three seats. I mean, it's Tingog, no, which is the speaker's party list, and then I think Ako Bicol. Yeah, these are the stories here. This particular survey may not be as predictive as the
Yeah.
senatorial, but some party lists here do not need a nationwide vote. They have their own bailiwicks. And then some party lists here are, and you notice in the top 15, most of the party lists are doing very well, are regional party lists. So
Yeah.
Ako Bicol, Tingog for the Warais, no, the Ilonggos. So the regional parties, their goal is to get as many votes of those who belong to their ethno-linguistic group. Okay, and then there's nationwide. There are also some nationwide party lists like AXIS who continue to do good, no? Largely because of the Tulfo brand that's associated with them. And there are also party lists that are built on that are popular because they're named after popular government programs like 4Ps. And then you have Tupad there, no? Which is I heard it's a new party list. I mean, it just emerged, no, after October.
Yeah.
It got a good name, and Tupad is a popular
Bakit walang
party.
angkas? I'm surprised angkas is not
Yeah,
there.
me too. Actually, I'm surprised myself,
Lalo
honestly.
na kung lalo na kasi pasahero na ngayon si George for 3 months. Hindi na siya driver, pasahero na siya.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
pwede siya
Oh,
magbigay ng
but
mungkahi.
I I think Richard has to do with the name, Angkas Sangay. I don't know if people
Ah,
put
right.
together. Not
It's a
Angkas, eh.
branding. Oo
The
nga.
branding is, and maybe that's what
Yeah.
George worked on.
Yes. You should listen.
So yeah, and then there's of course the Senator Bong Revilla's Agimat party list, which is not doing very. So yeah, so this is
Wow.
how it looks. It's not as predictive as we feel
Not as
as the
rigorously predictive. Yeah. Yeah.
but even those below the red line will get something at 25, get one seat each.
Um,
Assured one seat
right. Professor,
based on our calculations.
Again, I know many, let's just be honest, I think most folks don't understand how the party list works. Forget about the mathematical part of this. But can we give a
Yeah.
simplified version dun sa mga audience natin na siguro hindi na get? So, how is seats allocated and how do you determine there's up to 3 seats ang maximum, di ba? Because I remember
Yes.
back in the day when I was a junior
Maybe
staff.
let's just discuss the formula kasi it's kind of complicated also. The first round. Okay,
Yeah,
so here's the thing. We out of 157 potential party list parties, no? About around 63 will have to make it. Will make it because of the 20% constitutional requirement, no, to fill party list seats in Congress. Around 63, yeah. And of that 63, right now it seems from this survey that around 15 will get more than one seat, no? So there's a first pass and second pass. So to remind our own students and our listeners, in the party list, the floor for getting a party list seat is around 2%. The maximum number of seats is 3 seats. So in the first and second round, with the ones with the highest number will maximize. They'll try to maximize the number of seats, no? And then here's the thing that's important to
bro.
note
Yeah.
because of the Supreme Court rulings, no? We need to fill up the remainder of the seats. And you know, can you see 15 lang mapupuno eh. 15 to
Yeah.
20 seats. Ano.
Yeah.
The rest of the 63 will be filled up by those who get less than 2%. Nakuha nyo? Kaya nga ito, when you look at
Yeah.
the 16 and below. So yan, may potential number of seats yan. So, the problem with the party list is I think the threshold is too low. Unlike a European models,
Yeah.
5% is, no. And then here we have a 3-seat maximum, which makes it
Feeling.
hard
Oh.
to fill up, seats, the allocation for the party list. And therefore, the tendency is, and I think this is important to note, is that instead of creating big parties, programmatic parties that have strong social movements really backing it, we tend to fragment because of the nature, the institutional design of our party list law, which we really need to reform. Because the
That's a
problem
very
is
good point.
twofold, di ba? One
Yeah,
is
that's a
the
very good.
definition, di ba?
That's
The
an interesting
definition,
point
what
kasi.
is party list?
Right. The reason I'm
Uh,
saying this, usually the argument is that hindi maganda nga yung party list, at least in the past, it gave the marginalized groups or
that's
the
true.
non-tapos chance. But your argument is actually interesting. You're saying that actually as things happen, parang it just reifies and reinforces yung
Yeah,
fragmentary nature of our politics. Kasi look at it, purong regionalistic, purong
yeah,
essentially proxies of different politicians and dynasties. We don't need to name names. And then some of
yeah.
the new big tech boys are coming in, di ba? And then there's a celebrity aspect. So, yes, I think the Makabayan block is, as usual, my solid base kasi yan. But overall, I
They'll get the
yeah,
Makabayan back when all of them will get a seat based on this. We just gave the top 25, but in the complete list, most of the Makabayan block, existing Makabayan block groups will get at least one potential. This is not perfect, it's a potential seat, no? And this is an estimation. But what you're right, no? The party list law, the party list system needs to be reformed. One, it's now become the alternative for traditional politics to gain power in Congress. It's now, being in a sense utilized, no, for traditional elite, okay, politics. Number two, the reform has to go towards, redefining what a party list organization should be. And I hope that it will be redefined as an aggregation for the marginalized and disempowered. Number two, we need to really rethink the 2% floor. No, it's just too low. The tendency is, if you're a party list organization like, the left, the best to get more seats is just to fragment into smaller parties. No, instead of creating large, cohesive, progressive, ideology-based parties that will really create impact in Congress, you fragment, di ba? And then, of course, you take out the ceiling so that, it's easier to fill up. And now, if you look down the list, I'll give you the complete list for you to look at. You can get a seat for less than 1%. That's, it defeats the whole. Parang wala na talagang nakakapasok yung ibang party list with little less than 2%, Richard. So ano yun, di ba? Parang mababang threshold na yon. Dahil kasi kailangan mo punuin yung 20% because that's the
Right.
constitutional requirement eh. So just if the reform is going to happen, it should be towards increasing the threshold maybe to 5% like some European models, no? And taking out the cap so that let's say if the progressive groups come together, they can get as many seats like the Green
Many
Party
seats. Yeah,
di
exactly.
ba? And just fill it up, di ba?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the party list becomes
That's an
a
interesting.
system that really pushes progressive politics. It becomes a veto constituency on traditional politics in Congress. So
So,
that's I
right.
think is what we should be doing.
Interesting. So what you're saying is anti-agglomeration, and that anti-agglomeration actually prevents the progressives from creating a critical mass of alternative party representation. No, that's actually quite a unique way of looking at it. Kasi puro ngayon ang state of mind is very cynical. Binaboy na ito. This is the cheap way by trapos to get in. Parang you only
It
need.
is. It is. That's correct.
It's the
Completely
cheapest way.
validated.
Mas mura sa district. Oh.
Oh, ginamit na siya talaga. I mean, ang dali. Kasi if you have 200,000 votes, Richard, and that's just one district, siguro, you can qualify for a party list seat eh.
Pwede
So,
naman na
yan,
tayo eh. Gawa na tayo ng party.
oh, ano mga natin party list. And
Mag-congressman.
by the way, it's much easier to get a party list because, you can, it doesn't have to be marginalized eh.
Yeah.
Marginalized be a regional organization and nothing against that, ha. Is that, the party list law had a different intent in 1995 eh. So
Wala
ngayon,
tayo, marginalized tayo, di ba, Prof? Mga academics, we're
oh yeah,
marginalized.
public school teachers.
Yeah, pundits, we are binabash tayo parate, di ba? Double taxation pag vlogger. So, yan, kung contractor nga, may party list na yata eh. So,
Oh yeah, tama.
so,
Yeah, but it's
sabi
the
nga ni
back
Sir
door now. It's
Ronald,
the back door.
oo, sabi ni Sir Ronald nga, dapat mga retired analyst din, meron silang party list for pension systems nila. But I'm sure with
And
this
the way
election,
they get the same, for our people listening, they get the same entitlements as a district congressman. In fact, when you look at Congress today, the most powerful blocks are all from the party list
party
organization.
list. Yeah,
The ones
exactly.
running Congress today, no? And maybe we have to really rethink how, one way to reform Congress is really to strengthen parties. And I think the first step is really to strengthen the party list system by reforming it. Yeah.
Very interesting point of view. Last point, Professor Ranjit Rai. Why is it important for us to have these kinds of analysis? I mean, it's very data driven and all. Kasi always, ano lang yan, private firm yan, bayaran yan. I mean, all of us are being attacked as being bayaran and all of that. Can you remind our friends why this is the least bad way? I mean, nothing is perfect. No method is perfect. Nothing is fully predictive. These are snapshots. But as far as social science and robust analysis goes, this is the best we can do, right?
Well,
Evidence-based,
yeah, honestly,
longitudinal.
we can still do better. I mean, kami sa Okta, we're still trying to do better. But really, finding a way to gather data about how our people think, so that we can introspectively understand who we are, what we want, and where we want to go. I mean, honestly, surveys are very powerful in that sense because it's one way to find out how a group of people think about a range of issues. And once we understand how we as a society think about this, then we can start reforming. Right? Then we can start moving forward. I think that at some sense, getting to know who we are, what we want, and where we want to go is realized to some extent through data derived from public opinion research. And surveys are an important method in that respect.
Obviously, I'm asking that because I know you guys are also under a lot of heat. I mean, mga katulad ko kasi makapal ang mukha namin. I've been working media for so long. I thrive on bashing. But I know as academics, parang it feels sometimes so bad, right? Like you're doing your best to provide robust analysis and then sabi nila bayaran ka, yung ganito, ganyan. What keeps you going, Professor Ranjit? I know this is a very lifestyle kind of question. Hopefully we can have it in person next time. But
Yeah.
para lang people see we're human beings, no? We're ordinary folks just trying to do our job. Please respect lang. If you don't agree with us, okay lang yan. No one is forcing you. But this is the best
But
way
that
to
kind
do
of
it.
democratic culture, that culture
Yeah.
of debate and discussion, I mean that's important for us. I think, Richard, when you were a student during my time, we didn't have these discussions in
Oh, no, no,
public.
no.
Di ba? So at one level, we're moving forward. Yes, the quality of discussion needs to change, no? And oftentimes the messenger like you and me, Okta and Richard, we're often the ones killed first, no? And the message is lost. But then again, it's our role as everyday citizens, no, to not only fight for but sustain our democracy. And it can only do that through truth telling and truth seeking, di ba? And part of the work
Kaya nga
that
may
is
samurai
that
ano ako dito eh, Ranjit, may samurai ako dito like it's my warrior spirit.
ganda dyan, ah. Your
Every time,
shield, ah.
yeah, I mean, so every time I get
Ah.
bashed and all, I was like, I put it here like, no, 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 I'm a samurai
Yeah,
spirit.
but your real shield, Richard, your real shield is the truth, di ba?
Of
You
course.
talk about and you can't get more, how should we say this? You know, the, getting a survey data is as objective as you can get, no? Because it's not our own opinion, it's the opinion of if you don't believe Richard, you don't believe Ranjit, at least believe the Filipino people, di ba? That's who are saying things through the survey. And maybe that's where the power of surveys come in, because they let us know how a group of people think about a range of issues. They help guide government. Alam mo yan, when we release
Just like how
trust and
stock
approval and
markets
including
guide, just like how
our
stock
hunger
markets,
and
yeah, like just how
yeah,
stock markets guide corporations, right? I remember like
exactly,
Pepe
yeah,
Miranda was telling us back in the day. I mean, as one of the
yeah.
pioneers of this.
He was a big inspiration for us, no? Kasi
Absolutely.
Pepe Miranda, Professor Miranda, I hope he's doing very well now. We send our regards to him. It's a big inspiration for Okta, no? Kasi during his time, he was saying, yeah, we need to go through quantitative research. We have to start doing research to serve the public. And this is something that Okta takes seriously. We do this as a public service. And we're a non-profit organization. We're non-aligned, no? And we're non-partisan, no? And therefore, we open our data to everyone. So, our methods are open. You see our reports. We give everything to the media. And so we hope that because people are given this information, they are more empowered. And an empowered, informed citizenry is the best way to sustain the democracy. So, that's what we believe in. And I mean, it's also good that we also inform government. Our poverty and hunger data, we feel, is one of the most important probes. Media doesn't seem to talk about it as much. But imagine, no, if government and government listens, no, they have our data, they hear it also from other survey agencies, and they made adjustments. Look at the adjustments they made just this quarter alone, talking about minimum wage,
Right.
talking
Public
about
policy intervention. It's a public
yeah,
policy intervention tool. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a tool also to inform our government of how our people think on a range of issues again. And I think that's always important, no? And so we judge the survey company for its intent, for how much public free access data it provides, and also for its track record. So far, we've only been involved in one national election. We did extremely well in that last election. We have no doubt, no, that we're going to do as good or even better in this particular election cycle. And then we want people to understand that surveys are not haka-haka, kuru-kuru. It's a science. By doing what we're doing, we're extolling also reason. We're also extolling science, and in the end, what's powerful. That people believe not opinions, not misinformation, disinformation, but surveys that are well run, methodologically sound and rigorous, and accessible to all. So that's what we hope to do in Okta. This is just our second election cycle. I don't know how long we will last, but so far so good, no? And hopefully we'll be able to contribute more to the informing the public and therefore empowering them as citizens.
On that note, thank you so much, Professor Rai, for sharing your time. I mean, obviously, I'm sure it was not beginner's luck, and so far, Okta has been the enfant terrible, right? The
Thank
wunderkind,
you,
right?
Richard.
Of
You're
of
very nice to us, Richard. That's probably because you're my student, no? Is it
No, no,
possibly
no, no,
that?
no. I mean, colleague ko rin yung Pulse Asia. Pepe was my mentor. So, all of
Yeah.
that, love you all. You are all colleagues of mine. And I've stood by you folks when all of our, unfortunately, ako kasi na-hurt ako nung 2022 when some friends were attacking survey agencies and
Yeah.
Google Trends and all of that. Like I understand you want to inspire
Yeah.
people, but inspire them based on facts, evidence, data. Otherwise,
Yeah.
wala tayong mapupuntahan dyan. So, mabuhay ka, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Tandaan nyo, surveys were correct in 2022. They will be correct again in 2025. Okay? So, Richard, thank you for always inviting Okta to share its data. God bless you, and more power to your numerous shows, including this one.
Salamat, sir. And hopefully we'll have you on other shows also soon
Yeah.
and in person. Talk to you soon, Professor Ranjit. Mabuhay ka.
Bye bye, bye bye, Richard. Thank you, thank you.